I think we're good to go then.
Yeah, we're just about ready.
And we just have to close this so that we don't get the
Feedback. Okay, I think we are ready. Thank you everyone for just waiting while we sort out those technical difficulties, but it is 7:05 and I will call this meeting to order. So I want to begin by recognizing that we are meeting on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Nlaka'pamux people. This evening at the council table, we have Councillor Lightfoot, Councillor McCann, Councillor Michelle, myself, and Councillor Toss, excuse me, joining us by Zoom. CO Storoshenko is away today, but in accordance with our council procedure bylaw, Kathy Walters is here as Deputy Corporate Officer, and CAO Marquette is with us online. So I would like to move right ahead, and we will, I need a motion to adopt tonight's agenda. So move Lightfoot, thank you, and a seconder.
I'll second.
Thank you, all those in favor? And carried. Moving on to adoption of the minutes of the October 22nd regular meeting. Motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, seconder. Lightfoot. Were there any errors or omissions? No, seeing none. All those in favor?
Mhm.
And carried. And then we have the minutes of the public hearing that was held on October 22nd. A motion, please.
So move.
Thank you, Councillor McCann, and a seconder.
I'll second.
Thank you. Were there any errors or omissions? All those in favor? And carried. Okay. I jumped right in there. I realized CO Marquette, and how you may have had some messages to start the meeting, but I am going to turn it over to you now.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. I was just going to remind everyone to keep their video off and their audio, but we have our the people that are with us have been here before, so I think they know how we run all the meetings. So now we'll just move on to the public comment portion, if that's all right.
Yes, please.
So thank you. Now, at this time, members of the public are invited to comment on matters related to the agenda. So if you would like to speak, please use the raise hand function on Zoom. You can find that by clicking on React at the bottom of your screen and then clicking raise hand. When it's your turn, I'll read your name and we'll ask you to unmute yourself. You'll then get a pop-up on your screen asking you to unmute. You'll have 2 minutes to speak. Speakers are asked to please state and spell your name, say your address, and the agenda item to which you're speaking. So if anybody would like to speak, please use the raise hand function now. So asking for a second time, if anybody would like to speak, if you could please use the raise hand function. And I'm not seeing anybody for the third time. If anybody would like to speak, you could use the raise hand function on Zoom. And Mayor O'Connor, I don't know if there's anybody in the parish hall there who wishes to speak.
I don't believe we have anyone here who wishes to speak. Thank you.
That completes the public comment portion of the agenda. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So we'll move on to item number 8, which is staff reports. And we're going to move right on to 8.2.1 and CFO Marquette. Again, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. This is a fairly routine item. We have recently been trying to do some work with CRA on some of our accounts, and we've run into a bit of a roadblock because we have no authorized representatives still working at the village. So periodically the representatives are updated. We haven't done that for a while, and so we're looking for a resolution to appoint Mayor O'Connor and myself as the authorized representatives, and then that allows us to speak to Canada Revenue Agency, CRA, about our accounts when there's issues.
Okay, thank you. We have a 2-part recommended motion. Councillor Lightfoot, seconder.
I'll second.
Thank you. And are there any questions or comments? regarding this? No, seeing none, all those in favor and carried. Thank you. And you will take item number 8.2.2 regarding the reserve bylaws as well, please.
Thank you again, Mayor O'Connor. This is a follow-up to an information report that we had, I think, about a month ago, the first meeting in October. And council provided direction to staff to prepare some bylaws to clean up our reserve accounts. So going back to just a little bit about that discussion, we looked at all the various reserve accounts that the village had, and we had a number of them which were set up and sort of restricted by us. And then we have other ones that are restricted by the contribution agreement or the funding agreement under which we've received the money. So what we have done is we've prepared bylaws to amalgamate all of the reserves that are just restricted by us. So we have control over what those funds are used for. Because what we're aiming to do is very clearly segregate the funding that we've received related to the recovery and the rebuild. So whether that's grant funding or insurance proceeds or donations, have that very specifically segregated so that we can, see what our funding is when we're looking at our various projects, and then have a separate sort of section where we have all of the funding that's not related to the recovery. So these will be our reserves that will, go forward for the village beyond the rebuild. So the first step was the information report, just laying out the different reserves. This is sort of the second step, which is to amalgamate them into, kind of various buckets. And then the plan from here will be to develop a reserve policy, which will come back to council, and looking at kind of how we're going to manage the reserves, vis-a-vis our asset management and our capital purchases into the future. So these 4 bylaws that are further down the agenda for second and third reading are included in tonight's package as that first initial step to sort of clean things up.
Mm-hmm.
And not
Thank
clean them
you.
up because they were wrong or anything. It's just things change over time. And this is where we're at now. And this is what makes sense now for the village. So what they had established before was probably right at that time.
Thank you. Yeah. So the recommended motion is regarding giving first 3 readings to those bylaws, as well as doing the transferring of funds. So it is a two-part motion. Who would like to put that forward? Councillor McCann, and a seconder. Lightfoot, Councillor Lightfoot, and any comments or questions?
I just had one comment, and this is the 2-part process, but the one part is to establish the funds. And because some of these funds are, like you said, about recovery, then my assumption is that at some point in time, they too will be, what is it called? Done away with. Repealed. The word. So we know now that even though we're setting these up now, there is a date in the future where they too will be repealed, and someone will revise that, right? At that
That's
point.
correct. That's correct.
Yeah, I just wanted to make that comment, make sure I understood it properly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd just like to comment that I really appreciated the report and how clear it was and how well laid out it was. It made it very, very easy to understand. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
If there are no other comments or questions, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. We will move on to Director of Development's report, and Birta is online.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You've got the report in front of you. I do not have a PowerPoint for you because it's not been as in terms developer. We'll hear if updates regular development meeting. But to date, there have been 15 single-family dwellings approved. There's been a little bit more action in the planning side in terms of some inquiries, etc. They're all interested in looking at Lytton for various opportunities. I think I'm just going to leave it at that. As you know, people that do look for land for different uses, we do keep that confidential, just because that's how people like to have it when they're looking at things. Inspections are moving along with 19 done in October. And I think I heard in the preamble that there's a couple of finals coming pretty close for some dwellings. The only other change that I'd like to highlight is under development applications. The variance for a setback has been forwarded to the CAO for decision, and we expect that would happen very quickly as well. In terms of building permits, there are 5 items in review. Action happening in terms of new developments moving forward in the next. If there's any questions, I'm here.
Thank you, Birta. Some of your report was cut out a little bit. It was a little bit shaky, but I think we got most of it. Are there any comments or questions regarding this? I caught the part where you mentioned how the confidentiality, because some of them I was very curious about what, wonder what they were inquiring about. So I appreciate though the confidentiality. So we do have a motion to accept this as information. So who would like to make that? Councillor Lightfoot, seconder.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Michelle. Were there any other questions or comments? Okay. Thank you so much, Birta. All those in favor? And carried. Perfect. All right, we will move on to item number 9, bylaws. And we have some bylaws for readings here. And we're looking at item number 9.1, which is the reserve bylaw number 762, looking to give the first 3 readings to. Now, did we just do that previously? I'm going to call on. No, we didn't.
We considered.
This is repealing. You're right. That was to consider. Okay, so we have a recommended motion here. And Councillor Lightfoot, seconder, thank you. Any further comments or questions? All those in favor? And carried. And then we move on to Operations Reserve Fund Bylaw 763. And we have a recommended motion.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. And seconder, Councillor Toss. Any comments or questions regarding this one? Councillor Toss? Nope. All those in favor? And carried. Now item number 9.1.3, which is the Insurance Proceeds Reserve Fund. Motion, please.
I'll move.
Councillor McCann, seconder.
Toss.
Thank you, Councillor Toss. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
And carried. Okay, we move on to item number 9.1.4, which is the Donations Reserve Fund bylaw regarding the donations funds. A motion, please. Councillor Lightfoot, seconder.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Michelle. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? And carried. Okay. So now we move on to bylaws for adoption, and we have 2 brought forward to us here. The first one is regarding the zoning amendment bylaw, accessory dwellings, and we're looking to adopt. So motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Michelle, seconder, McCann. Are there any further questions or comments regarding this? All those in favor? Carried. And now we move on to 9.2.2, which is regarding the parking and loading provisions bylaw. Recommended motion.
Also move that one.
Thank you, Councillor McCann, as seconder. Councillor Lightfoot, and there's no comments or questions. All those in, Councillor Toss. Yeah.
I just wanted to make the comment that I'm speaking against and voting against this bylaw for many of the reasons I've mentioned previously, that I just feel it's inappropriate for the village of Lytton at this time, has a bit too much overreach for what I think our village needs right now to encourage development. But thank you.
Thank you. Okay, there's no other comments or questions. All those in favor? And opposed? Thank you. And that is carried. All right. We have no correspondence this evening, and I guess we're going to move right on to item number 11, which is verbal reports. So aside from a lot of emails and Zoom meetings going on the last couple of weeks, there were actually two highlights. One was attending the Excellence in Gold Country recognition event in Cache Creek with Councillor McCann, actually. The Excellence in Gold Country campaign was held over a number of months, where public nominated and then voted on businesses and activities in our region. Basically, the region is from 70 Mile down to Lytton and from Lillooet over to Logan Lake. Many from our area were nominated in various categories. So there was Ski Hiss Park, Stein Valley Intlakaten Park, Jade Springs Restaurant, Suncatchers Crafts. They were all nominated for these awards. But I do want to congratulate Kumsheen Rafting Resort for receiving the favorite attraction or activity in Gold Country, and to the Lytton Chinese History Museum for receiving honorable mention for the favorite historic attraction. So we were able to bring these awards home from Cache Creek from last Saturday and present them to Lorna at yesterday's coffee. So I think she was quite thrilled to receive them. It was just so nice to see Lytton recognized, and it's just another example that Lytton isn't going anywhere. Yeah. On Halloween Day, I attended an asset management workshop in Kamloops along with Councillor McCann again. It was an excellent presentation organized by SILGA, our local government association. We heard from 4 presenters: the CFO of Kamloops, a representative from Municipal Insurance Association, the CFO of Ashcroft, and a communications advisor. I came away from that session with a better understanding that our municipal assets are not the physical thing. Like, I always assumed assets were the physical things, but rather it's the services we provide. For example, the fire truck is not the asset, it's fire protection. That is the asset. Fire truck just helps with, with fire protection. So, yeah, it was an excellent workshop, and how we need to, I guess one of the other things I came away with is even a better understanding of the importance of having our bylaws, policies, strategic priorities, financial plan, all of those in place, and it helped me understand better how they all link together. So I really did appreciate it. So that is my report, but I will move on to Councillor Toss.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. I apologize, I'm not able to be there tonight. I'm in Tsawwassen on the traditional territory of the Tsawwassen peoples, and I have nothing to report this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McCann.
Oh, thank you, Mayor O'Connor. I've had some busy times. So I attended a number of events. A couple I will mention again that Mayor O'Connor has already stated. October 23rd, there was a fire safe home evaluation that I went with the Fire Smart people to attend. The 25th, I went to the celebration of life for one of our elders who passed away recently, and that was a full day. We ended up until like 7 o'clock that evening, so that was a very busy day. And very interesting service and lots of kind of following the wishes of our friend. On the 28th and the 4th, I went to coffee with the mayor. On the 29th, I attended the Tumsheen Fall Fair, the first that they've done of those things, and that was quite well attended considering that it hasn't been done before. October 31st, as the mayor mentioned, I joined her at the Silga workshop, and I had to sneak away for about an hour to go to another meeting about the park. So there's still more stuff going on with our park out here. November 2nd was Saturday, and I went to the Fire Smart project at the village elders home, and I'll say more about that in a second. And I also went, as Mayor O'Connor mentioned, up to Cache Creek and gave her some company on the ride there and back and cheered everybody on. And then yesterday, November the 4th, I attended another project meeting for the WOAM project, which has not ended yet. So it kind of took a long pause, and now they're at the stage where they're doing their final report and working on how that is going to be drafted, so that we should be seeing that in the springtime. So there's been a person hired to do the media part of that, and then that will be coming forward. And I'd like to report more on the home safety cleanup day that happened at our elders home on Saturday. It was a collaborative effort between the Tumsheen Fire Smart Committee, the 6th St. Agnes Scouts Ventures Rovers, the Village of Lytton Public Works, and the BC Wildfire Crew Lytton Rattlers. The young people traveled from North Vancouver to work with the volunteers in Lytton, and they relocated a firewood pile and they split firewood, and there was a lot, let me tell you. And the yard was cleaned of debris and other flammable materials. The homeowner was very happy to have this help to make her property more fire safe. So it was a good, I was exhausted though, man. We're working pretty hard out there, snipping out the weeds and pulling out the bushes, but it was a job well done.
Great, thank you, Councillor Michelle.
I have nothing to report.
And Councillor Lightfoot.
Very little to report. Coffee yesterday morning, and that's it.
Great, thank you. All right, so that brings us to, oh, sorry. No. Okay, Council, I thought there was somebody who wanted to speak. That brings us to the end of the open portion of our meeting. And so what we will do is we're going to be moving into closed meetings. So we need a motion to move into closed meeting. That would be Councillor Lightfoot and a seconder.
Sure. Oh, they're tossed.
Councillor Toss. And all those in favor? Carried. So thank you for attending the open meeting, and I'll turn it back over to CIO Mombercat.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. That concludes the public portion of the regular meeting for November the 5th, 2024. We ask that the public and the staff please remove yourselves from the meeting as we go into the closed session. And thank you for attending today's meeting. I'll invite council to take a short recess while we reset the meeting to closed. Thank you.